Hello. Welcome back to the show. Today we've got the round 13 predictions. First and foremost, just want to quickly say or rehash something. This channel, I love to discuss stuff, anything sports related. So big grouse, if you could share your thoughts on the games ahead, what's been happening with all these clubs that are playing this week. Let me know in the comments. I'll respond to everything I see. But without further ado, let's get into this video. First game is the Tigers and the Power. Both teams are coming off the bye, actually, so they are, very regenerated. Obviously, well, I'm not sure who's coming back. I think some Richmond players are returning for this one. Richmond, last time they played, they lost by a goal to Sydney in a very stiff fashion, and Port Adelaide, well, they beat Essendon in what was a pretty ugly match, a really wet style game. Obviously wasn't convincing, that game. Look, I don't really want to dwell on the games too much. I'm just going to say my prediction right here, right now. I do think the Tigers will get up here. They have been the proven better side all season long. The Powers form has improved over the course. It really could be anyone's game, to be honest, because obviously the bye can do a lot of things to teams. It can stunt their momentum, or it can, sort of serve as a hard reset. Look, I think Richmond are going to bounce back after that loss against Sydney. They played a very good game for the majority of the game. Their small forwards or their smalls were really influential, especially when they were winning, and their forward line looked really cohesive. However, that all went in the bin in the second half, where they basically went away from everything they'd done right. So there you have it. The Port game I didn't really see too much of, but look, they have been a little bit off it. I mean, they beat Essendon, but not very well, and Essendon haven't been the greatest side all year. So Richmond will pick up the points. It's at the MCG, 7:20, big stage. You'd expect the Tigers to get up here, so I think they'll get the win. Second game of round 13 is Essendon Carlton. Essendon, we just know what we're going to get from them. If they play their best footy, they still can't pull out a result. The Blues are absolutely depleted. I haven't really talked about them much since they lost that game against Collingwood. Obviously, Weeders is a very, very big out. The injury list just keeps on mounting, and it's a worry. You look at what they could do if they are at full strength, and the sky's the limit. But the problem is we are so far away from that, that it could be, we may not see that at all this season, given the injury list and how long some players are out for. Look, I think Carlton will win this game. Everything points towards a Carlton win. Essendon, I believe this is a celebratory match. They wanted this on a Friday night. They got it. So they're going to need to put in a good shift. They've played some good teams at some, in some night games, such as the D's, for example, the Hawks. They've come out and picked up victories or played really good performances, so they could easily do that again. But I think Carlton have shown, a lot of resilience in times of adversity. They've had a lot of injuries, and still the record really holds up. 8-3 is by no means something to get really disappointed about. So Carlton will get the 4 points. Essendon, I think, could challenge. Next game, we've got Fremantle taking on the Hawks at 4:10. Fremantle obviously played last week, so did the Hawks. The Dockers, I've got to give them credit every single week. Still have a variety of players missing. They got thrust another challenge when Walters, Chapman, Taberner all gone. And every single time they've been faced with that dilemma, they've always been able to, pull out a result. And it's always been role players getting the job done. Bailey Banfield kicked 4 goals. 3 goals also went the way of another player, which I can't remember. Michael Frederick, I believe it was. But that's just amazing. And doing it against the really formidable and worthy Brisbane outfit that have a lot of their players in. Mind you, they lost Darcy Gardner in the game. But in saying that, Fremantle just looked really overwhelming. The second quarter burst was really positive from them. And then you also had that in the last quarter where they could have easily choked the game. Brisbane did have times where they were, looking like they were on the charge, and they tried to, make a few adjustments, possibly put Dane Zorko off halfback, to sort of promote that more attacking mindset, but it just didn't work. Fremantle's team is really solid. Fremantle's system is really solid. Their backline's really strong. They're not, the number one defensive team by coincidence. Griffin Logue was really good in the forward line as a replacement. He actually looked like a viable option down there, so there you have it. I've talked about Fremantle so much here and haven't really talked about Hawthorn an awful lot. Their second quarter or first half was a bit of a joke against the Pies. Then the rain fell and the Hawks looked absolutely amazing. That wet weather footy really suited them. Jai Newcomb pretty much embodies that tough mindset that, the wet weather sort of brings out in footballers. So he's been an absolute gun for them this season. He's been really consistent. However, I don't really know how they lost that game from a winning position when scoring was exceptionally tough. I mean, give credit to the Pies where credit is due, but in saying that, the Hawks, it was probably their game to lose and they lost it. So Fremantle will win. It's at Optus, so no surprises there. Saints are coming off the bye, playing Brisbane in what is really a tough game at the Gabba. So obviously, you don't want to be coming out of the bye having to play a team like that at their, their fortress, basically. That's the only night game on a Saturday. It is, a really interesting one because Brisbane have faltered in the last few weeks. Had an opportunity to go top. We just talked about Fremantle being a really solid side. But Brisbane, they started the game well. Second quarter, just let the guard down. The floodgates opened and Fremantle did the rest. Harris Andrews looked really shit and really, did some things really uncharacteristically. For the Saints, though, it's been an absolute whirlwind since they last played. But the last time they played, they beat North Melbourne in a game, you'd expect them to win. Mitchie Owens had a really good game in his second game. I think he had 11 tackles. So that's really good given, that's their next generation academy product. So good by him. But obviously they're going to be thrown a much bigger test against a side that doesn't really compare to North Melbourne. So look, I think this is going to be really close. St Kilda are obviously more recharged. They've had a week off. That could, as I said, do one of two things. But I actually am going to predict an upset. I think I could be an idiot for predicting this. And I've been garbage at tipping all year. But I'm just feeling St Kilda are going to come out of the gates and take advantage. Harris Andrews could possibly have a really stinky 2-week period following on from last week, and Darcy Gardner also went out with injury. So it's going to be interesting to see how Brisbane contain that St Kilda forward line, but it's my best guess. I'm going to tip St Kilda though for the upset. North Melbourne GWS at Marvel Stadium, and the controversy just keeps on rolling through. There was some fake trade on Instagram or something, and Jason Horne-Francis liked it because it was involving him, and that just looks really dodge. Obviously, the media is going to blow that one out of proportion, but it just really builds upon all this trash that's been going on at the North Melbourne Football Club this season. The Giants, last time they played Brisbane, and to their credit, actually stayed with them for pretty much the full duration of the game. Weren't good enough to get the 4 points. Started the game really well. Kicked 8 goals. James Peatling has been a revelation in the forward line. That is a name I don't think anyone really saw coming as an emerging player in the forward line. But there you have it. This one's really straightforward for me. GWS are going to pick up the W. I do believe they may be getting some players back. Whitfield is a test. Taranto's still a few weeks away. They won't need him. I think Prusy may be on the cards for a return, possibly, given North Melbourne's ruck situation where they'll be going in tandem between Cherry and Goldstein, I believe. That's if Cherry is back. I think he is. But obviously that speaks volumes about how I've been keeping up with North this season. They're just that boring. GWS to win, though. I think that's pretty simple. And last game in what is really, really intriguing, Collingwood-Melbourne. Collingwood in their last 2 weeks have beaten sides by a combined 8 points, but it's really spoken a lot about this Collingwood football side and what they have to offer. Playing a really attacking style of footy through the corridor, really threatening. Really went well in the first half last week. Then they let the guard down, and Hawthorn, were able to pile the goals on, and it looked like Collingwood were in the mud. They had no momentum whatsoever. They conceded a number of consecutive goals, and it just felt like it was slipping away, and then bang, they kicked a couple goals. Jordan De Goey stood up in a huge way with that goal from outside 50 with a heavy football. I mean, how hard it is to kick a football when it's raining and get it that far distance-wise was just baffling to me. And then Ollie Henry stepping up in big ways, taking a few contested marks in the wet, difficult footy to handle, and then converted under pressure after missing a previous shot. So he was great in the last quarter. Credit to them. Darcy Cameron's a gun as well. I think he had 25 touches as a ruck, so he's been huge for them since Brodie Grundy went out. The D's have lost a couple in a row, and the invincibility they once had has completely evaporated upon losing to two sides that are pretty good football sides in the last couple of weeks, Sydney and Fremantle. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like they've got a few holes to fill. Mitchy Brown playing forward, that's just not going to work. That's not going to hold up. They're going to make some adjustments there. Maxi Gawn kicked 3 goals and had 28, and they still lost. Don't ask me how that's happened. Stevie May being out is a huge loss, and they won't have him this week either, given he was in a bar scuffle or a scuffle with Jake Melksham whilst drunk. So I don't know what this game is going to bring. Collingwood, look, given they have won a couple games in a row in some very good fashion, it wouldn't be, totally out of the question to tip Collingwood in a game like this. They actually beat them in this fixture last year. But the D's, man, they've got to bounce back at some point. Collingwood have shown flaws in their game. They haven't played full games of footy in those 2 wins that they've had. Sure, it's a positive sign that they're getting the victories despite not playing 4 quarters, but the D's are just a really good football side. They are a class above. In the last couple of weeks, they haven't shown that, but you just expect them to bounce back. So Melbourne are going to get the win, halt that 2-game slide, and pick up the 4 points. So that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like and subscribe. Share your thoughts. What's your tips for these games? We've got a few crackers, a few intriguing fixtures in this game. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But that's going to be it from me. So make sure to have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.